Reading with your kids.
Hola, ni hao, konnichiwa, assalamu alaikum, shalom, mahaba, moni muli wanji, namaste, jambo, bienvenidos. Hi, my name is Jedley, and this is the Reading with Your Kids podcast. We are coming to you from the beautiful neighborhood of Reedville in the southwest corner of Boston, Massachusetts. We are so delighted and honored that you are joining us in our mission to help families grow closer through reading. Please be sure to subscribe to the show in the iHeartRadio app, on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, wherever you find your podcasts. We have two great guests for you today. Yesenia Rodriguez will be here a little bit later on to celebrate Lani Ray's marvelous hair. But first, Trinity Bursey is returning to the show to celebrate the day the instruments split. Before we invite Trinity into the studio, we want to let you know, in addition to having two great guests on the show today, we also have two great sponsors. This episode of the Reading with Your Kids podcast is sponsored by Latkes for Santa Claus, Janie Emmaus's debut picture book, which is illustrated by the amazing Brian Langdo. In this humorous and endearing story, blending both Christmas and Hanukkah, a little girl and her stepbrother compete to leave Santa the best treats ever. It's a joyful, engaging read, perfect for culturally blended families and delightful for all readers. The playful rhymes will keep kids giggling, and Janie's family latke recipe included at the end is to die for. Watch for Janie's next blended book. It's coming out in 2023. It's called Easter Eggs and Matzo Ball. We can't wait for her to come back and celebrate this book, and we can't wait for you to check out Latkes for Santa Claus by Janie Emmaus. This episode of the podcast is also brought to you by the Superhero School series, written by Donna Sager Cowan, illustrated by Diane Reed. Join the Superhero School squad from Sweet Meadows, a fast-paced mystery adventure series for middle grade chapter book readers. Cat the Cat, Simon Cheddar, who's a mouse, Patty Porter, a pig, and Freddie Flickerson, a tree frog, team up to save their community and classmates while learning how to become superheroes. It's a 3-book series that your kids will love. Book number 1, With the Courage of a Mouse. Book number 2, With the Curiosity of a Cat. And book number 3, With the Passion of a Pig. The Superhero School series by Donna Cowan Sager. Joining us right now from North Carolina, our guest is returning to the show to celebrate her brand new picture book. It's called The Day the Instruments Split. Please welcome back to the show, Trinity Bursey. Hey, Trinity. Nice to see you again. How are you?
Hey, I'm great. So glad to be here again.
I'm really happy. I have such great memories of being in my school band when I was in elementary school. It was like the highlight of school, I think.
That is so awesome.
Yeah. So tell us about The Day the Instruments Split.
Right. So The Day the Instruments Split is all about the instruments. The first book followed lyric, little piano, and this time we get to meet all of her friends. So in the book, basically what happens, the instruments are having fun, playing together, life is good. But then, dun dun dun, a bad guy comes in from the first book, and he tells the instruments that they are better if they are apart. He's like, why are you guys playing together? You're better separate. And because of that little tip, the entire town just plays with their own kind, like guitars with guitars, harps with harps, etc. And because of that, there's huge consequences in the town. The town goes haywire. Everything's not working right. Raindrops stop dropping, lockers stop locking, all the rhyming things stop working. And so it's up to Lyric and her friends to get the band back together.
Boy, it sounds like The Day the Instruments Split is describing what's happening in the United States and a lot of places in the world.
For sure. And it's so interesting because, with my books, when they come out, I have an amazing illustrator, John D. Shull. He is just phenomenal. So I actually wrote this book about three and a half years ago. Mm-hmm. And so it's really, really cool to see how it's even more, needed now than ever,
Yeah. Why do you think we have this division going on in our country right now?
Well, a lot of it, I'm not sure about what people believe, like their beliefs, but, a lot of that is just, rooted in sin, when we actually love and accept the love that, God has for us, we can then turn around and love other people. And it's kind of funny because that's the way my books kind of follow. In the first book, Lyric had to learn how to love herself. In the second book, it's all about loving others. So it kind of takes that, that progression to really understand that you're loved, you can love yourself, and then you can go out and love others and not be threatened and not be insecure about it.
That's really, I think, an incredible insight that in order for us to come together, we first have to love and accept ourselves, and to understand, if you are religious and have faith, understand that you were created intentionally and that you were created with a purpose. And if you don't have a faith, then just understand that you are a wonderful being that deserves to be loved and respected. I think you're right. I think that is necessary in order for us to truly open up ourselves, because in order to love others and come together and work together, we need to allow ourselves to be a little bit vulnerable.
I agree.
Yeah.
So true.
What inspired you to write this? How were you so kind of, I play a mentalist and a psychic on stage. You actually, were writing this book at long before our division became so obvious and so prominent. Yeah.
Like you described, like having that deep faith, just being intentional and just, prayed about the kind of books I wanted to bring out. And it's just, to me, I'm just in awe, because I just feel like I'm just an instrument, that someone, else is playing, and I'm just, doing what I need to do, and just want to spread a good message, a message of hope. And the way the book is, I love the way the book is kind of put together, because it doesn't like, point any fingers at anybody. It's not like malicious in any way. It's just saying the facts. Like, hey, just like instruments, hopefully we can make that correlation. Just like instruments are better together. They're all different. They don't try to say, hey, we don't have any differences. There are differences in instruments, but it's their very differences that make them amazing when they come together, And that's what I just want people to realize. Just like instruments are better together and so many other things, we as people, we're better together too. You can do things I can't do. I can do things you can't do. When we respect and accept those differences, we can do something amazing together.
Yeah, absolutely. I mentioned how much I love being in my school orchestra. When I was a kid, I played drums, and I loved playing drums, but I have to tell you, I couldn't sit and listen to 100 drummers drumming for a half an hour.
Right.
It just wouldn't work for me.
Right. That's so amazing.
Yeah. And I love the analogy, because I think it's something that kids can really relate to. It's like, yeah, I love the guitar, but the guitar sounds so much better when it's backed up with drums and a bass, and maybe throwing little keyboards and maybe some horns to get a real funk to it. Yeah. How did you come up with that? The idea of using instruments to demonstrate this, need for us to celebrate our differences.
It's kind of, I don't know. I feel like for me as a writer, it's not just a one aha moment. It's like a culmination of different moments and ideas, and the story is kind of birthed that way. So it's kind of hard for me to pinpoint. Like I said, it was like 3.5 years ago. It's kind of hard to remember. Oh yeah. But I think, just going, it's a series. So just going with this whole series of instruments, I think, I don't know, just like, thinking about different ideas of stories. And I think this just kind of came, to the forefront. Like, hey, just like, people, we're all different, but we're better together, just like, instruments are too. And I thought it would be cool to have a book that pinpoints this in a unique way, a way people can, maybe accept better, and think, hey, you know what? I need to accept and celebrate other people and their differences. I want people to celebrate my differences, so why not celebrate theirs? And one amazing thing is, like, when you make other people better, you get better too. When you're not afraid to boost someone else up, you yourselves are also lifted. So I hope that's, I feel like the message of the story can definitely go as deep as you want it to. And I feel like there's a lot of good little nuggets of truth in there.
Yeah. What's your favorite instrument?
My favorite, well, I grew up kind of playing like guitar and piano, but honestly, I love like all instruments. Like I love, like I watch different, videos or like different symphonies and different people playing their instruments. I just love the skill that they have. I appreciate, the artist. But I feel like for me personally playing, I would say would be the piano now. When I was younger, it was guitar. And I think piano because I just have long nails, and so it's easier to play piano than it is guitar right now. So I would say for me, it would be piano.
One of the things, too, I love about this idea about talking to your kids about diversity through, the story of these instruments getting along together is I think it's a really neat way for parents to introduce the kids to instruments that we might not hear on a regular basis here in the United States. I know one of the things that was so neat when my beautiful wife and I got married is I was introduced to the rhythms of the Caribbean and a lot of different instruments. I didn't understand that you could go out on stage with a gourd and make this great percussion instrument, and, there's all sorts of instruments that are heard throughout Asia and Africa that we don't necessarily hear here. And that's, I think that's a great way to introduce your kids to the beauty of the world and understand that the world is so much bigger than our little corner of it.
That's such a good point. Wow, that is so true. And I feel like I would love to somehow like team up with other like musical artists and be able to like showcase, like you said, the different instruments of the world. And like you said, know that it's not just the instruments that we predominantly see in America, but there's so many other instruments that make so many beautiful sounds. And it's just so amazing when they come together.
Yeah.
So beautiful.
Yeah. Tell me, what is the most interesting thing you have learned in your short time as a children's author?
Most interesting thing. I would say that the most interesting thing is like, once you write a book, you have to realize that when you put it out there, that other people, it's theirs. One person told me recently, because I had it translated into Spanish, my first book, and my second book as well, but it's not out yet. And she said, remember, this book isn't just yours alone. It belongs to everyone else who buys it, everyone else who connects with it. So I feel like that's the most interesting thing, that even though you may write something, it belongs, people really personally grab onto it and it's theirs, it's like you're no longer just the one person who has the book.
That's really fascinating. I had never heard that before, but it's true because, we've heard people who've complained about, oh, that song was never meant to represent this, but, someone came and took it and really went with it. And it's like, wait a minute. I guess that's something that authors and creatives should be aware of, that when we are sharing our intellectual property, our ideas with the world, people are going to use it for, hopefully for what we intend. But I think, have there been any instances where somebody's taken the book and had a view or shared a view of the book with you that really surprised you?
I wouldn't say like surprise, like completely opposite of what I intended, but maybe like, even like you said, bringing up like the instruments of different parts of the world. It's like, oh, wow, that is really cool. I didn't think about it like that, but I think it's cool that people have even different perspectives than I have. So on the same line, but maybe they thought about it in a different way. And I feel like that's the beauty of being an artist, because it's like the art is alive. It's not just, I think about it in this certain way, but I love how other people can bring their opinions into it. And you're like, wow, that is so cool. I love how you see it in a different light. So I appreciate it. I think it's really neat.
Have you always dreamed of being a children's author?
That's funny. When I was younger, I actually wrote a book. It didn't get published. I was around 10 years old. And so I was always writing stories. I was really into writing, really into athletics, and really into like, I guess interviewing people. I guess I did a lot too as a kid. So, I mean, it doesn't really surprise me. It was something I kind of put on the back burner for a while, but it's like one of those things. It's like, okay, I did this. This was something that, was truly me as a kid. It wasn't something that somebody tried to make me do, but it was something I was, I gravitated toward as a, young girl.
Yeah.
So in that way, it's not surprising.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned that this is part of a series. We've already met the first book, and we celebrated the book here on the podcast. Where else are you taking the series in the future?
Well, see, the thing about me is I don't like to give away surprises.
Okay.
I like to keep surprises under wraps. So I can't really say, but all I can say is that there will be more books.
Very good. Very good. Well, I know people are going to want to know where to go to find out more about the instrument split, and also find out more about Trinity Bursey.
Yes. So they can find the book on Amazon, Barnes & Noble. They can find it on Walmart online. They can also find it at thelittleiinstrumentals.com. That's my website. And yeah, that's where they can find it.
Awesome.
And also, I forgot to mention too, there's also the Little Piano Facebook group page, and also the Instagram page, so they can check out a lot of little fun things there too.
Yeah. Have you thought about creating some little instrument music?
We did for the first book. We got to do like a little music video, and that was tons of fun. So we might get to do that with this one too. We'll see.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. We've had a lot of fun speaking to the author of The Day the Instrument Split, a really wonderful book to start having some important conversations with our kids about loving themselves and loving each other. And we've been talking with the author, Trinity Bursey. Hey, Trinity, thanks for being back with us.
Thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor.
Before we invite our next guest into the studio, we want to invite you to join us on social media. Facebook.com/readingwithyourkids. At Reading With Your Kids on Instagram. We can be found at Jedley Magic on Twitter. And, of course, we have a great Pinterest page, Reading With Your Kids. And we would love it if you would go to our website, readingwithyourkids.com. Sign up for our free newsletter. Feel free to use the contact button to send us a message. Joining us right now from right outside of Los Angeles in California. Our guest today is here to celebrate a really beautiful picture book with a great message behind it. The name of the book is Lani Ray's Marvelous Hair. Please welcome the marvelous author, Yesenia Rodriguez. Hey, Yesenia, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm excited to have you on. This is a neat book. Tell us a little bit about Lani Ray.
So Lani Ray is a little girl with lots of hair. So if you see the book, or if you could even see my background here, it's a little girl with a lot of hair, and she's actually based on my daughter. So that's where I got the whole idea for this character, Lani Ray. And my daughter's Leilani, but we always call her Lani. And so she just has this long hair, and that really came from the real life Leilani. You know, I used to comb her hair for her when she was smaller, and she just had this long hair, and that's what people knew her for, you know, the little girl with the long hair.
Yeah, and the illustration of Lani is just beautiful, and the hair is just, I am so jealous, because at one time I had hair like that, but no more.
Yeah.
Now the story is more than just the fact that this beautiful little girl has really long hair. There's a pretty profound message in it, right?
Yes. So do you want me to go ahead and
Absolutely. Tell us all about it.
So yes, the story, we introduced Lani Ray as this little girl with this amazing long hair. And we also introduced her best friend, Lila. And in the story, she finds out that Lila's sick. And so she wants to do something to help her feel better. And this story really introduces the idea of hair donation. So she ultimately donates her long locks and gives them to her friend to wear when she loses her hair. And so that's just something that I really wanted to introduce. A lot of kids I've spoken to are familiar with it, but then there are many who are not, you know, or they don't realize that little kids could do something like that.
Yeah. And that's why I love the story of this book so much, because I think it's really empowering to let a little girl or a little boy, you know, somebody with, you know, is blessed with this beautiful long hair, to understand that they can donate it to really make a huge difference in someone's life, a kid or even an adult who's going through some kind of treatment where they lose their hair. the loss of the hair, I think sometimes is a bigger kind of shock than actually being sick for a lot of folks. It's, when they lose that hair, it can be so devastating. And so for a little girl to know that, wow, I can give this to someone and change somebody's life. What a beautiful message that is.
Yeah, thank you so much. So my daughter, she actually donated her hair twice before. She was 6 years old the first time and 8 years old the second time. And, it really came from her own idea that she wanted to cut her hair, and she didn't want to just get rid of it. She wanted to donate it. So that's where this idea for this story came from, the fact that she did it herself at such a young age.
Yeah. Now, how was she aware of it at the age of 6?
So I'm actually a hairstylist. I'm a cosmetologist. That's where my background is. So I do a lot of stuff right now. But that's where I started as a hairstylist. So I think just in me talking about that, because it's something I got to experience when I entered into the cosmetology industry as a student. We would do events where we would do like a haircut-a-thon, right? So we have a bunch of people go and they have their hair cut by, the students, or salons can host events like that. And the whole purpose is to donate their hair and see how many ponytails and braids they can collect. So I must have talked about that, to a point where she was able to comprehend that, and she just knew it was something that you could do.
Yeah. So let's, if we can, talk a little bit about just that whole process. Obviously, someone like me, no one's going to want what little hair I have on top of my head. So this isn't something that I can do. What's the minimum amount of hair a person has to have to be able to donate?
So it kind of depends, and this is what I tell a lot of people. Research where you want to donate your hair to, because there are different places, and some places are specific to children. So I've actually done a haircut-a-thon after releasing this book, because the two go together. And so we specifically donated to Locks of Love. But there are others, Wigs for Kids, Hair We Share, and then there's others for adults. I believe Dove or Pantene does one where you could, it's for women. And the difference, if you want to donate specifically to children, is that they make smaller wigs for children, because it is a bit easier to find adult-sized wigs. And so you see these different organizations making them specifically for children because they have to be special made for smaller heads. And so it depends on where you choose, but I've seen the least amount is about 8 inches. I'd say try to have at least 10 inches to donate. And some places will take maybe a minimum of 12. So it really varies on where you plan to send your hair.
And are there any other kind of restrictions? Can you have had some dye in your hair at one point?
Yeah, so that is another thing that you want to research, because some places will take hair that's been colored before. So yeah, if you have any hair dye or color in it, you could still donate it. Some might not. And then some might be more specific on if it's been bleached before. So that's a little different than just the color. So, and then there's perms, chemical treatments like that. So you do want to research which organization will take your hair.
Is there a reason that you're aware of that would cause one organization not to take hair that had been colored?
Usually I think it's within the dyeing process, because it could take several ponytails to make one wig. So if they have to use all different hair, I think it's in the process of coloring the hair. And so if the hair's already been processed before chemically, it could break or damage the hair once they do that process.
Wow. And now, I've worn wigs. As a performer, I do educational magic shows. I've worn wigs. I had this beautiful orange kind of dreadlocky afro thing that I wore for many years. I don't think that was made out of real hair. Why is it important for a child or an adult who is going through this process to have a wig that's made out of real hair?
So the real hair comes from being able to do things with it that, we would do with our own hair. So maybe a wig with, they're usually with synthetic hair, it won't really stay in a ponytail or do certain styles, or maybe even feel, the same to the touch. And so especially for women, if they want to style their hair, put any heat to it, you would want real hair, because if you put any heat to synthetic hair, it's just going to break off or, ruin it. So if you have real hair, it not only, feels more real, but you're going to be able to do things with it like if it's your own hair.
Yeah. What was your daughter's reaction the first time she donated her hair? Was it more than just a haircut for her?
Yeah, absolutely. I was pleasantly surprised that she had this idea on her own, and that she really understood what she was doing. And I think she was proud of herself. At 6 years old, her hair was so long. I want to say it was about 12 inches that she donated, and it was still past her shoulders after she had it cut. And she just loved it. And she, I think she was kind of tired of the long hair, so that was a relief for her. But she really had this pride in that, you know what, I'm not just throwing it away. Like, I'm actually going to impact someone with this. So she had that in her. It really made me proud of her.
Yeah, I bet. This is the time when we're approaching the holidays, and we hear a lot about, the supply chain's been broken, and we don't know if there's going to be toys in the stores, and what are we going to do? What a beautiful way to celebrate the holidays and to share something that you've been blessed with somebody that is in such need.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, tell everybody, please, where they can go to find out more about Lani Ray's marvelous hair and find out more about you.
Yeah, so you could check out my website. It's YeseniaRodriguezAuthor.com. And also I'm on Instagram, very active on Instagram at Yesenia.Rodriguez.author. I also have Facebook, so Yesenia Rodriguez Author. That's, the handle for most of them. And so definitely search me up. The book's also on Amazon, paperback and ebook. So the hardcovers are available on my website, and the book is available in Spanish. So for any bilingual readers, or even if, that's your only language you're trying to learn, if you want to learn another language, or if that is your first language, that's why it was so important for me to have it available in both. So all formats are available in English or Spanish.
Wonderful. We've had a great time speaking to the author of Lani Ray's marvelous hair. Beautiful story about friendship and giving and inspiring our kids. And we've been speaking with the author, Yesenia Rodriguez. Hey, Yesenia, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Please be sure to join us for the next episode of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. Our guest will be Zarina Hameen. She'll be here to celebrate the Melanoid Chronicles. That's the next episode of the show. Hey, I want to thank the folks who made today's show so wonderful. Of course, we want to start by thanking our guest, Trinity Bursey. Be sure to check out The Day the Instruments Split. Also want to thank Yesenia Rodriguez. Lani Ray's marvelous hair. That's the picture book from Yesenia that we want you to check out. Also want to thank our sponsors, Janie Amaeus' Latkes for Santa, and also the superheroes, easy for me to say, the Superhero School series by Donna Cowan Sager. I want to thank my team, Alejandra Doherty, Fatima Khan, Rory Grady. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all the support she gives me. Most of all, we all want to thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. And as always, thank you so very much for taking the time to make the world a better place by reading with your kids. I'll be looking for you in the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast.